Imagine a firefight breaks out in the middle of Ramadi and two friendly units accidentally start shooting at each other. Who's to blame? In Extreme Ownership, former Navy SEAL commanders Jocko Willink and Leif Babin use real combat stories from Iraq to prove that a leader must own everything in their world. No excuses. By the end of this video, you'll understand the core leadership laws SEAL officers live and die by, and exactly how to use them at work, on a team, or in your own life. The whole book stands on one idea. If something under your watch goes wrong, it's on you. No exceptions and no excuses. Jocko tells the story of a blue-on-blue incident in Ramadi, where his SEAL unit and Iraqi soldiers accidentally fired on each other. And instead of pointing fingers at the guy who pulled the trigger, Jocko stood up and told his superiors it was entirely his failure as the commander. That sounds harsh, but here's the trick. The moment you own the problem, you're also the one with the power to fix it. If you blame others, you have no control over the solution because the solution depends on someone else changing. Think of a manager whose sales team keeps missing quotas. Blaming lazy employees changes nothing. But a manager who says, "I didn't train them well enough," can actually go fix the training. That's the whole engine of the book. Total responsibility isn't about guilt. It's about keeping the power to solve things in your own hands. This chapter takes the ownership idea and scales it up to entire teams, arguing that a so-called bad team is really just a team with a leader who hasn't set the standard. During training, one SEAL platoon kept losing every single exercise, no matter how hard they tried, while another platoon, with the exact same people and equipment, kept winning. So the instructors made one simple swap. They moved the leadership around, put a stronger leader in charge of the struggling group, and almost overnight that same weak team started winning too. The lesson is that talent and resources matter way less than most people think. What actually separates a great team from a mediocre one is whether the person at the top holds everyone to a standard and believes it's their job to make the team better. Picture two identical classrooms with the same textbooks, but one teacher inspires kids and the other just complains about them. You already know which class ends up scoring higher. So before you ever blame the team, the book insists you look in the mirror first. Leif Babin walks us through a moment where he was told to hand over a dangerous, hard-won part of Ramadi to Iraqi army units he didn't fully trust yet. And honestly, he hated the order at first. Instead of just grumbling or secretly dragging his feet, he went to his superiors, asked hard questions until he actually understood the strategic reason behind it. And once he genuinely believed it made sense, he committed to it fully. That's the key move here. Leaders are allowed to push back and question decisions behind closed doors. But once you're in front of your team, you have to lead with total conviction, because troops can smell hesitation instantly. Think about a coach who privately doubts a new game plan, but rolls it out to the team looking unsure. The players will play unsure too. So the rule becomes, dig for understanding first, even argue for it in private. But once you step in front of the group, believe it or don't lead it at all. Ego, according to the authors, is probably the single biggest killer of good decision-making, because a leader with too much pride can't admit mistakes and can't cooperate with other teams either. There's a story where different SEAL task units in Iraq started competing with each other for glory and credit instead of coordinating, and that rivalry actually put missions and lives at risk until the leaders swallowed their pride and started working as one team with a shared goal. The fix isn't to have no confidence at all. SEALs obviously need to be confident. It's to keep enough humility that you can hear you're wrong without getting defensive. Imagine two co-workers competing so hard to look good in front of the boss that they stop sharing information with each other. The project suffers, even though both are talented. Checking your ego means constantly asking, is this decision about what's best for the mission or what's best for my image? And choosing the mission every single time. Cover and move is literally a battlefield tactic where one group provides protective fire while another group advances. But the authors turn it into a philosophy for any organization. Every branch of a company, every department, every squad has to treat the other departments like teammates, not rivals. In Ramadi, SEAL snipers, machine gunners, and Iraqi soldiers all had to support each other's movements block by block, because a sniper team that succeeded alone while the infantry got pinned down meant the whole operation still failed. Translate that to a business. A sales team that hits its numbers while the product team ships something broken hasn't actually won anything, because the company as a whole loses customers. The core message is that internal competition between departments, sales versus marketing, engineering versus support, is poison, and the only scoreboard that matters is whether the entire organization wins. So instead of asking, "Did my team look good?" the question becomes, "Did we as a whole accomplish the mission?" Under real pressure, complicated plans fall apart because stress, fatigue, and fear make it hard for anyone to remember 5 moving parts at once. The authors described combat operations that failed not because the enemy was clever, but because the plan itself had too many steps, too many contingencies, and when the situation shifted even slightly, nobody could keep track of what came next. So the rule became, strip every plan down to its simplest version, something a tired, scared 19-year-old could still execute correctly in the middle of chaos. Think about a fire drill at school. It works precisely because it's dead simple. Everyone walks out one door to one meeting spot. There's no branching logic to memorize. The same goes for a workplace project. If your instructions need a flowchart just to explain the flowchart, you've already set your team up to fail the moment something unexpected happens. When everything is falling apart at once, the instinct is to panic and try to fix 10 problems simultaneously. But the authors teach a simple mantra from the battlefield. Relax, look around, make a call. During an intense firefight with casualties, explosions, and radio chaos all happening at the same time, Jocko forced himself to pause for a few seconds, mentally rank the threats from most to least urgent, and deal with only the top one before moving to the next. Trying to juggle every emergency at once actually makes you slower and more likely to make a fatal mistake. Almost like trying to catch 5 falling balls with 2 hands, instead of catching one perfectly and then the next. This applies just as much to a stressed-out student staring at 4 overdue assignments. Picking the single most urgent one and finishing it completely beats frantically switching between all 4 and finishing none. Prioritizing isn't about ignoring the other problems forever. It's about trusting that they'll still be there once you've handled the most critical one first. A single commander can't personally make every decision on a battlefield spread across dozens of city blocks. So the SEALs push authority down the chain, training every small team leader to understand the mission's purpose well enough to make smart calls without waiting for permission. That only works if the top leader clearly explains the why behind the mission, because a junior leader who understands the goal can improvise correctly when the plan inevitably changes on the ground. The book closes with what it calls the dichotomy of leadership, the idea that the best leaders constantly balance opposing forces, like being aggressive enough to get results, but careful enough not to be reckless, or caring about your people deeply while still holding them accountable. Picture a manager who's so nice they never give tough feedback, versus one so harsh nobody wants to work for them. The best leader lives in the uncomfortable middle, adjusting constantly. It's not one fixed formula, it's a constant balancing act, which is exactly why leadership is described throughout this book as a skill you sharpen for life, not a checklist you finish once. If you take away one thing from extreme ownership, let it be this: the moment you stop blaming circumstances and other people, you get your power back to actually fix what's broken, whether that's a SEAL platoon, a sports team, or your own life. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin turned brutal combat lessons into a leadership playbook that works, because it's brutally honest about where responsibility really sits, with you. If this breakdown helped, subscribe for more deep book summaries that turn big ideas into stuff you can actually use tomorrow.